Hey everyone, Kyle here from Poseidon's Pets. So what I got for you today is not really a fun story and not one that I love to tell, but I killed all of my shrimp in my coal tank.
No!
And when I say all of them, nearly almost all of my shrimp. I maybe had 2 or 3 survive out of the 100 that I put in there.
No!
So if you've watched my previous video, you know that I set up a new coal tank for Caridina shrimp. I was super excited about it. I was gonna have my Caridina culls in that big tank, just breeding like crazy, getting those crazy genetics. And I cleaned everything out, cleaned the filters. I got it all ready to go, got it cycling, threw the shrimp in there, started scaping it. Then I started to see deaths. So the water got a little cloudy, started to see some shrimp start to die. Just wasn't good. So I reached out to one of my friends, Shelly Speak, over at Lucky Aquatics, and I kind of brainstormed a little bit to see what could be going on, because I've set up so many tanks this way, the same exact way, no problems, never had any issues at all. So this is what it was. Cholla wood. So cholla wood is one of my favorite woods to use in a shrimp tank because it's got all of these different pores that the shrimp can go in and out of. It's got a lot of surface area for bacteria to grow on. Now, when I broke down the tank originally from Neo Caridina to set it up for Caridina, I cleaned the filters. And normally what I do is just squeeze them out in some RO water, but I actually use tap water. So I cleaned the filters with tap water, which sterilize some of the bacteria, which isn't such a big deal if you have a small colony. So adding a large colony on top of cholla wood, that was where we found the breakdown to be. So if you look, you can't even see through this.
Dude, crap.
So some of those pieces of cholla wood just weren't cleaned out properly. I didn't boil them long enough. So what happened was this started to rot. It just started to rot, started to break down, release ammonia, release whatever.
Ew.
I never really saw ammonia when I did tests, but I know it was breaking down and causing water parameter issues. As soon as I removed this out of the tank, I added some activated carbon and things started to improve. So with the bio load of that tank not being strong enough to support the breakdown of this wood, it just caused a spike, and that caused the shrimp to, succumb to the toxicity of the water, which this is a good learning experience for everybody. There's all kinds of stuff that can affect water quality, and when you add stuff to a tank, you want to make sure you boil it and make sure that it's not going to be releasing anything into the tank. So that's what took out my coal tank. Now that was about 2 months ago, and I still had quite a few coal tanks in my calcio tank. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys what I'm doing with that coal tank now. So we're going to go ahead and cut to that footage here. So what I'm doing is I got some dragon bloods, I got some red calcios, and I decided to crossbreed them. So in this tank, you can see that I've got the remaining coals in this tank.
Dude,
so
crap!
These are the leftover babies that I couldn't catch when I set up that coal tank. So all these shrimp in this tank, these are my coal genetics, the genetics I was so excited about to get into that coal tank. So I didn't lose all of those genetics, which is nice. So we're gonna go ahead and catch all these babies. That way it's only calcios in this tank, and we're gonna put them into the coal tank. Now on top of that, I'm going to go ahead and cull my blue bolts. I'm going to cull my tangerine tigers, as well as I'm going to add a couple orange eye blue tigers into that tank. So we're going to go ahead and just show you that process and show you, setting up this new coal tank. I'll do a feeding at the end so you can see the new genetics that are in there. I also got some new shrimp that I'm adding to the tank, so I'll show you guys that as well. But I wanted to get this out there and tell you what had happened to my coal tank and what had really happened to those guys, and so that way I can put it out there and somebody can learn from my mistakes. But I don't want this to be a sad video, because we all lose animals. It happens sometimes, and it's unfortunate, and we do our best, but things do happen. So I didn't want this to be a sad video about how I killed all my shrimp. I wanted this to be exciting, so I'm going to show you all of those new shrimp that I'm going to be putting into this tank and how they're doing. So let's go check it out. All right, now that we got all of those guys out of that tank, what we're going to do is just a slow drip to get them drip acclimated to their new tank. And you can see there's tons of them in there. So even though I lost a lot of my culls, I still have those genetics from the original cull tank, which is, I'm so grateful I didn't move everything over, and some of the babies were hard to catch, because now I can start fresh, get those genetics in there. And I absolutely love that scene where you drop the shrimp in there. It looks amazing. So I went ahead and got a hold of my shrimp guy. Whoops, dropped the bag there. No shrimp hit the carpet, so we did good. But I got a hold of my shrimp guy and went over to his house. I'm sure you saw that video where I toured everything he had, and if not, go check that out. But while I was there, I picked up some raccoon shrimp. So these are a type of tiger shrimp, and they're a little bit basic as far as coloring goes. You'll see here, they're just clear with some black stripes. And I thought they were really cool, and he was nice enough to kind of give me these guys as a test shrimp for the tank to make sure all the parameters are good. So I actually put these guys into the tank first, as well as I had just a few culls from some of the other tanks thrown in here as a test to see how they did. Once everybody was doing good and I didn't have any deaths, that was when I transferred over that large amount of culls, because I didn't want the same thing to happen. I wanted to make sure that this tank was absolutely 100% before I put any more shrimp into it. So I'm glad everything was working out. We're gonna go ahead and get these guys dripping and then add them to the tank as well. In the future, I'm going to do some more projects with these raccoon shrimp. So I'm going to be getting more of them, because I want to see what happens when I cross these with some Taiwan bees, and just to see what kind of stuff we can get. Now for the blue bolt tank. So I went ahead and culled some of these guys out, and what I look for is we want any of those ones that have those black spots on the head or just don't have that deep blue color. So I pulled those out. That way, we're not continuing that genetic line. And you can see that there's quite a few in here that have some yellow on their head as well as those black spots. And I didn't want to cull too many of them, just in case I did have some problems with the tank again, because these were part of that original wave of shrimp that I added to the tank as a test. I took 5 of the blue bolts, 5 of the tangerine tigers, 5 orange-eye blue tigers, as well as those raccoon shrimp, and I added them all to the tanks just to give it a good test, make sure everything was good. This is my Black King Kong Extreme and Orange Eye Blue Tiger tank. The Orange Eye Blue Tigers had bred together before I got the Black King Kongs in there. So I've got a lot of Orange Eye Blue Tiger babies, and you can see a lot of the babies are clear. They don't have a lot of that deep blue color that you see in some of them. And then I had one adult that was kind of brown. So I took a few of the clear ones, I took the brown adult, and then some of the lighter blues, just to add that kind of genetics and variations to this tank. So now that we got those culled, we're gonna go ahead and put them in the tank as well. I'm telling you, I love seeing that. I love just seeing the shrimp drop down into the tank. It's my favorite. My Tangerine Tiger and Aura Blue tank. So in this tank, I am crossing my Aura Blues and Tangerine Tigers. So what I'm culling out is I'm just grabbing all of the babies that look like straight Tangerine Tigers. So any of those orange colored shrimp, I grabbed those. And I grabbed a little bit more than the 5 for the Tangerine Tigers, because you saw in that last tank, I just have so many of them. So this is gonna add that Tangerine Tiger genetics to the cull tank as well. And in they go, off to their new home. Super excited for this tank. So this is a couple months after the devastation and all the deaths, and you can see that the plants are doing good, the moss is doing good, all the shrimp are thriving. So they're not just living, they're absolutely thriving. Haven't seen any berries yet because a lot of them were juvenile. You can see the pre-made tumbler that I used to raise the eggs when the mama shrimp died. And the moss is just doing great. Everything's doing so good. I'm super excited to see how this tank does. And definitely big shout out to Shelly Speed at Lucky Aquatics for helping me with this. I added some Indian almond leaves as well as the activated carbon just to help with any possible bacterial infections, as well as removing any of those contaminants. So the activated carbon helped to remove any contaminants that were left over from that cholla wood. So Thank you so much, Shelly, for all the advice and all the help. You can see that with only being in this tank for a few weeks, all of these shrimp have doubled in size. They're all doing good. You know, they're super ravenous, and I've been feeding this tank almost every day. You can see the mulm and the rocks there, but they're absolutely loving it. Now that the water has stabilized and the shrimp are doing good, you know, I've been experimenting a little bit with overfeeding this tank just to see what happens and how fast they grow and stuff like that. So I'm hoping everything works out, but go ahead and check these guys out and enjoy them doing their shrimp thing. And if you made it this far in the video, you are absolutely amazing. And what I want you to do is just simply write in the comments, I love raccoon shrimp. So just simply leave me a comment that says I love raccoon shrimp, and I'll know that you watched the video to the end. So thank you guys so much, and enjoy the shrimp being shrimp. Thank you guys so much for watching. I definitely appreciate it. I hope this was a good video for you, and you can see those cool genetics, and we're gonna see some of the cool stuff that's gonna come out of there. So do me a favor, leave me a like, leave me a comment down below what you thought about this, and tell me how you killed shrimp. Let me know what your experience was, so that way we can maybe learn from it and we can not recreate that. So thank you guys so much for watching, and big shout out to all my members. You guys are awesome. If you want to become a member of the Poseidon's Pets Posse and, you know, help support my shrimp, pay for shrimp food, all that fun stuff, feel free to do so. It's only $2 a month. But thank you guys so much for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day.